The defense had been hammered during the prosecution's case, but Jay Carney, one of Boston's most experienced defense attorneys, was ready. He set his sights on the key to the state's case, Nancy Campbell. If Carney could get jurors to question her testimony and her motives, then his client, Jim Brescia, might have a chance.
You would need to find that Nancy Campbell is a believable witness to ever find the defendant guilty.
Campbell testified under a grant of immunity that she was the go-between for Brescia and her ex-boyfriend, Scott Foxworth, a convicted killer, in this murder-for-hire plot.
You think that the story she's telling is not the real story?
I think Nancy Campbell was forced to tell a story that would support the government's case.
As proof of this theory, he reminded Campbell that what she initially told police completely changed as she faced the threat of being charged as an accessory to murder.
The police asked you directly whether Jim Brescia ever said he wanted Ed Schiller killed.
Yes.
Or dead. And isn't it true that you said to the police, no, not to me?
Yes.
Campbell testified that it wasn't until her fourth interview in April, 3 months after the murder, that she finally told the truth. When it came time to cross-examine Brescia's ex-wife, Stacy, the defense wanted jurors to understand that her testimony was motivated by revenge to get back at her husband.
And it would also be fair to say that you hate Jim Brescia to your core.
No. I can't hate him because that would consume my life, and that's what killed Ed.
Carney also wanted jurors to believe that Stacy was thinking about reconciling with Brescia when she allowed him to stay at her home during the Christmas holidays. If there was going to be a reconciliation, Carney reasoned, Brescia would have no reason to order a hit on Ed Schiller.
I think Stacy engaged in a lot of revisionist history at the trial trying to justify her conduct.
When it came time for the defense to call its witnesses, there would be only one.
Should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do.
And that would be Jim Brescia himself. Brescia started out by testifying he was not obsessed with Ed Schiller because Stacy had started divorce proceedings well before Ed was ever back in the picture.
Did you ever, during the entire time that you were married to Stacy, ever tell her that if she and Ed got together, it would be bad for his health?
No.
Did you ever tell your wife that if something bad happened to Ed, it wouldn't be you?
No, that's ridiculous, no.
Brescia did admit being upset when Schiller was with Stacy and around his children, and he said he told that to Scott Foxworth.
I told him that I'd it wouldn't bother me if I saw the kid get beat up or something.
And what did you suggest to Mr. Foxworth that Mr. Foxworth could do?
I just asked him if he wanted to engage.
Engage, a benign word for paying to get Foxworth's ex-con hands on Ed Schiller to rough him up and frighten him away from Stacy. Brescia testified Foxworth wanted $2,000 for that little piece of dirty work. And Brescia said that when he balked, Foxworth said he'd take $1,000 up front and another $1,000 if Ed Schiller stopped seeing Stacy. Brescia agreed.
What was the most that Scott Foxworth was going to do with Ed Schiller in sending him a message?
He was going to threaten him. He might beat him if it came to that, but that was it.
Finally, Brescia testified that Nancy Campbell lied when she said he had ordered a hit.
At any time in your life, did you ever tell Nancy Campbell that you had hired Scott Foxworth to kill Edward Schiller?
No, never.
Engage. That's all Brescia wanted, he said. But by the holidays, when Foxworth still hadn't engaged Ed, Brescia said he wanted his $1,000 back.
And what did he say?
He's told me to just be patient.
What else did you tell him, if anything, besides that you wanted the money back?
Just that, things were going well with the family and, didn't appear that I needed to do anything like that anymore.
As evidence, Carney asked Brescia to read a letter he'd given to Stacy after the holidays.
I love you, Stacy. I really do. I just wish every day could be the same as the last. and spending the time together that we did just reinforced in me how strong our emotions and feelings for each other really can be.
On January 13th, Brescia testified he got the shock of his life when he learned Ed Schiller had been murdered. And he called Foxworth again from a payphone.
I told him that, the police had confronted me, and he said, well, at least your problem's taken care of now. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, the problem's been taken care of now. You should give me the other $1,000.
What was your attitude in talking to him?
I was out of my mind. I was mad. I said, I told you I wanted my money back. I didn't want to do anything like this. I said, I didn't ask you to kill anybody. He told me if I didn't pay the money that the same thing would end up happening to me.
And so Jim Brescia testified he later gave Foxworth another $1,000.
I think it's possible that people can get caught up in thinking that life is a bit like a TV program or dealing with The Sopranos or something like that. I suspect that Jim Brescia had a little bit of a thrill dealing with a person like Scott Foxworth for a while. But when he realized how foolish that was, he tried to undo it. Regrettably, tragically, he wasn't able to.
Plenty of TV shows don't deliver this much drama. What happened next was a twist no one saw coming. Jim Brescia's defense was that he admitted making the phone calls, admitted hiring Scott Foxworth, but says that all he wanted was for Foxworth to beat up Ed Schiller, not kill him. Brescia says Foxworth went ahead and did that on his own. Then, during cross-examination in this courtroom, either something happened to Jim Brescia or it didn't. You be the judge.
I just got a really bad headache. I'm having a hard time. I'm sorry.
Coming up, a surprise rocks the courtroom.
Never saw that happen before.
We were shocked. I was shocked.
Could it affect the verdict?
Is the defendant guilty or not guilty?
When the Friday the 13th mystery continues.